by Southwest and stuff as someone that was playing music. But yeah, that's how I ended up here. Opened up Olame, had some good success there as far as like being a boss.
Yeah.
You know, like sure there was some notoriety bullshit, but like I don't fucking care about any of that stuff. That stuff doesn't mean anything. And then I ended up leaving there. You know, it wasn't my restaurant.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like I was cooking a concept that I really focused on and like learned a lot about southern food and like where southern food comes from and the culture of the South, and like as far as like learning is like super great, you know, like, and I've like taught me so much about myself of like,
yeah,
you know, my passion and, you know, towards what we do. And but yeah, I left because it was his restaurant. It was named after his family, his mother, and generations of Olames in his family. And like there's at some point you realize like there's a peak for you.
Yeah.
And so we ended up having like a thing falling out or whatever, and people change. People always change, especially with like what one would assume is success.
Yeah.
You know? And I've like, for the most part, like I know where I am like internally, but I feel like I'm very humble as a chef. Like, and so I just went off on my own. I ended up moving to my family and my wife and my firstborn, my daughter, we ended up moving to Minneapolis. And that was actually how I ended up in hotels at the time, because, you know, you go from making $45,000 a year as a chef to $125,000 in Minneapolis, and you're like, well, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're 29, and you're like, yeah, I'll try it, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a complete fucking... It wasn't a failure for me, but it was the first time where it beat me.
Yeah.
You know, the hotel beat me.
Gotcha.
And I ended up quitting, like after 3 or 4 months, and went on hiatus. You know, it's basically stopped cooking.
Yeah. How long?
For maybe 5 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I ended up like doing a summer at another hotel in Cape Cod where I met Cameron. He worked at Meadowbrook.
Cameron Rates?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't know why I forgot his last name.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I worked with him out there.
Yeah.
And we were both like the chefs, like co-CDCs.
Yeah.
Running each, you know. And we were roommates out there, and like we ended up having like a really good bond and friendship.
Yeah. You saw him at
Charter Oak.
Yeah,
he came and visited. Yeah. And so, you know, did that over the summer, away from my family, because needed to make money, needed to provide for the family, and so then, you know, my wife at the time wanted to move back to Austin because that's where she's from. Her family's here.
Yeah.
Her brother has, you know, ramen shop here. She's Japanese, and so her whole family was here, and I think her dad was like going to move back to Japan, and I think she wanted to spend some more time down here before he left. And you know, I was working on a restaurant with, like, in the sense of like opening my own restaurant with a guy that was who I met through Eric Anderson.
Right.
That helped them. This guy helped create like the restaurant in Minneapolis that he opened up. I think Grand Cafe or something, and he was going to help me and fund it. And like, ended up having this meeting where like he basically told me right then and there that like he was going to fund it, and then I ended up having to tell him like, well, I'm moving back to Austin.
Oh fuck.
You know, because like, you know, I mean, the winters there are so fucking harsh, like negative 20 degrees. Like, you know, like you're
miserable.
Yeah, it's fucking miserable, man.
That's funny. So you moved back to Austin.
Yeah.
And do you have a job lined up at that point, or are you looking?
Yeah, so I took a job with like the high hospitality Uchiko restaurant here.
Yeah.
As the chef, and just didn't make it. I was there for maybe a month, and I just couldn't do that kind of culture like that. Like, frankly, I don't really give a shit saying it, but like, it's a fucking cult.
Yeah.
Like, there's no progression. The chef really doesn't get to grow the food there.
Right.
It's such a corporate restaurant, and everybody, it's just like, it's fucking weird, dude. Mm-hmm. It's literally like a cult. And and a lot of people who come from there, they bring those like traits and their values into kitchens, and it's really hard to work with people like that because they only know one way. Because they're breeding chefs for that company. They're not breeding people to go out and be their own people. They're breeding them to like Stockholm syndrome type.
You're talking like what's that other place? Houston's?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like the people that come from there are like, this is the SOP for this, and I'm like, bro.
Exactly. They don't know any other way.
God damn! You're bringing out that fire today.
Just I can fucking talk shit.
Grae Nonas.
I can talk shit like better than anybody else.
This is Sucio.Talk, baby. You guys say how you feel. I don't give a fuck how you feel. Just say it.
And then I took a job at the Carpenter, and it was like super exciting. And you know, I got to open that from literally. I was the first hire for that hotel.
Yeah.
Group, and honestly, like, as much of a shit talk I could say about it, it was such a great experience for me.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first times that like I actually like created this like this just, you know, this whole thing, like from the baking side to, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, cafe menu, room service menu, pool menu, catering, and I was able to collaborate with my chefs and really operate this thing as like a fucking beast.
Yeah.
You know, like I opened most of all of those programs from day one, like cafe, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, catering, day one.
Good.
And just orchestrated it. And like, it was like I was a fucking madman, and not in a negative way, but like just so determined. It was like back in Austin, I had to make a name for I had to come back, you know, and really make a name for myself, you know. And I felt like I had all this pressure, even though nobody gave a shit. But you know, that's what I thought. Yeah. But like my team was like people that I worked with. Everybody, you know, from down, and you know, everybody in the entire restaurant, front of the house, back of the house, they were so supportive of me, of our kitchen, of our team, of their team, the drive, the idea of like, this wasn't just a hotel restaurant. Like, this is a fucking restaurant, and there's a difference. You know, it's like high quality ingredients, like attention to detail, thoughtfulness, like down to like a fucking quinoa salad at lunch to, you know, a more, you know, conceptualized dish at dinner to a burger that, you know, to the eye is like a really good, like dirty burger, but like we made the bun, we ground our own meat, like we did all these things, and it was like the intention was there. It was like, well, let's just do the best that we can do on everything that we do, from fucking yogurt bowl to duck frites, you know, and like this idea that as a chef, like as a cook, you can learn here. Like this isn't just any job. Like this is a job that you can learn. This is a career path, you know?
Yeah.
So like as much as I had issues with politics there, because I have issues with everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
You gotta open your own hotel.
Yeah, like I'm a fucking asshole. Like I was raised to always like speak your mind and believe in yourself and not hold back, and like I feel like part of where I am is because like I just overstepped myself.
Yeah.
Every fucking time. And it worked sometimes and it didn't other times. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like, yeah, I had that reputation. I have that reputation in Austin. Like, when I get fucking over it, I just drop the fucking mic and let the whole place fucking burn down around me. And that's like, it's a terrible thing to do. Because you want to leave a legacy. And I feel like in certain areas after I leave a foundation amongst the chefs, amongst the people who supported me. And I help them instill that like security and their own like ability to believe in themselves to operate at the level that we were operating, where it wasn't like, well, I'm just like leaving you behind in the dust. Like,
yeah,
now it's your time. Like, you can do this. Like, you've been doing this. And so, yeah, like, I do that. And then I think part of it is, like, my ego. But I think I'm just incredibly sensitive. So, like, I work super hard. And as soon as, like, I feel like I'm being, like, taken advantage of or disrespected or, like, you know, like, I want my team to be more respected by the hotel side. Like, simple stuff, you know? And, yeah, like, after a while, it's like, if you're not going to listen to me, like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, gotcha. So you leave there when?
I left there February of 2020.
And they were like
a fucking asshole.
Yeah, right?
Like, I would have been, like, employed by them if I just stayed another month through fucking COVID. But, like an asshole, I left without obviously knowing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was actually trying to move back to New York to open a restaurant out in Brooklyn. Like, I was looking at spaces. I was talking to potential investors and, like, this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a spot or, like, lock down a spot, which was so amazing that it never happened, because it would have never happened given COVID. Like, there's no way you're opening a restaurant during, like, beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, with that like getting people to continue to back you on opening a restaurant. So I stayed here. And then did the same thing. Went on another, obviously, like everybody else during COVID, like at the beginning, like, weren't doing really anything because we couldn't.
Exactly.
And then the owner of Suerte, Sam, he allowed me to take over this little spot where they're building their new restaurant that they're opening up, Estee, which I'm sure you probably heard about. And I did a pop-up there. So, it gave me an income. I got to open my own restaurant, so, like, literally my own restaurant there, and did 16 covers a night outside. And I stayed in the kitchen. I cooked everything, prepped everything, and a friend of mine ran the front of the house.
Word, man.
Yeah.
How long did that last?
8 months.
8 months.
And it, like, became, like, one of the hardest reservations. We were on, like, Talk, and, like, as soon as it came out, like, fully booked for the whole month. Like, shit that I've never experienced. And it was an Italian restaurant. It was all pasta driven. It wasn't supposed to be originally. It was supposed to be more French. But with COVID, like, you know, having to make an income and doing pasta to go was like, not necessarily something that every chef would do. But obviously with COVID, every chef in the entire world now has made an exception to takeout.